My best friend said her uncle is a total bossy CEO. I looked down at my chat logs in silence. Jackson, I was wrong, so what if it's a secret marriage? Jackson, I won't pressure you to make it public. Jackson, babe, I'll listen to you from now on. My best friend frowned. Why does your husband's profile pic and nickname remind me of my uncle? My hand shook, and I panicked. No way, even if he looks like him, my uncle is super strict, not a lovey-dovey guy. Is he really strict? Not a lovey-dovey guy? Jackson and I had a huge fight. I was so mad, I grabbed my bestie and went straight to a bar. She rounded up 10 hot guys around us. I checked them out one by one, and none matched Jackson's looks. So I waved them off. It was just me and my bestie left at the booth. She looked at me with concern while I sulked with my drink. What did that husband of yours do again? This is like the 8th time this month, right? He's such an egomaniac. I slammed my empty glass on the table, full of complaints. Everything's his way, he wants me to not interfere. Is he treating me like a dog? How did I agree to marry him? The booze was hitting hard and fast. She quickly snatched the delicate glass from my hand. She sighed, exasperated. If your husband treats you so poorly, why not just get a divorce? My fired-up mind froze for a moment. My bestie thought it was a great idea and started matching me with other eligible guys. Or how about meeting my uncle? He's a bossy CEO, loaded and handsome, much better than your unknown husband. Huh? I was taken aback and awkwardly laughed it off. No need, my husband is actually pretty good. Babe, you can't fall for PUA tactics. My bestie slapped me, frustrated at my response. She looked at me with disapproval while I regretted my drunken words. It's not that I'm scared, it's just that my husband, the one she doesn't know, is actually her uncle, Jackson. Babe, be honest, does your husband often tell you he's the only one who genuinely cares about you? That's classic PUA talk, Sophia. Don't fall for it. She looked at me anxiously, and her intense gaze snapped me out of my buzz. Sophia, you deserve it. Why do you blurt out everything when you're drunk? I silently blamed myself while thinking how to explain my husband is actually alright. Sophia, even though my uncle can be tough, he's really great. A top university PhD by 20 and runs a whole group, with a clean dating history, he's a top-notch single guy. Consider it. I awkwardly averted my eyes, laughing nervously. That's too good for me. As she was about to blow a gasket, my phone buzzed with 3 notifications from hubby. Trying to dodge her matchmaking, I quickly opened my messages, pretending to be busy. Jackson, I was wrong, so what if it's a secret marriage? Jackson, I won't pressure you to make it public. Jackson, I'll listen to you from now on. Jackson's quick change of heart calmed me down. My best friend peered over at my phone, surprised. Hey, why does your husband's profile pic look like my uncle? I froze, hands shaking, panicked again. I denied it instinctively, but she waved it off, cutting me off. No matter how alike, it can't be. My uncle's strict, not a romantic at heart. I silently looked at Jackson's string of cute emoji-filled messages. Strict, you say? Not a romantic? While I pondered how to confess my husband is her uncle, Jackson showed up. Tall and in a black coat, he navigated through the crowd, his sharp gaze locking onto mine. Oh no, why is he here? I quickly nudged my best friend, who was still hyping up her uncle. Look. She looked up, patting her thigh. Run, my uncle's here to catch me. Maybe, just maybe, Jackson was here for me. Either way, I figured escaping was our best option. In sync, we ducked down, donned hats, and prepared to sneak away. Abruptly, Jackson grabbed us by our collars. My bestie closed her eyes, flailing her arms. Help, someone is attacking us. The background music was too loud for anyone to notice our drama. Jackson, with a stern face, escorted us into a private room, with the manager trailing behind like it was urgent business. Boss, you're here for an inspection? Boss? We exchanged a look, instantly realizing the irony. Neither of us knew this bar belonged to Jackson before arriving. Amid this, my bestie leaned over, whispering, "We're toast. My uncle's scary when he's mad." Jackson did lash out, chewing out the manager before indefinitely shutting down the bar. The manager was on the verge of tears but complied. Once done, Jackson turned to us. His stern gaze made my scalp tingle. My bestie was no better, trembling slightly as she weakly began, "Uncle, let me explain." I hoped she had a good cover story, but she quickly threw me under the bus. It was all Sophia. She was upset, so I came to be with her. I tried to dissuade her, but she insisted on hitting the bar. I was baffled. "Wow, sis, it's not how you tell the truth." Jackson's smirk was more sarcastic than amused, impressive. I wanted to make some excuses, but I couldn't think of anything that would fool him. "Go home," he ordered, and my best friend and I obediently followed him to the car. "Daisy, you really stuck your neck out for me." My best friend clasped her hands together, pleading, "Please, please, my uncle won't do anything to you, but I'm different. If he tells my parents, I won't be able to go out for the next 3 months." I felt like crying. Who said Jackson wouldn't do anything to me? He made it clear tonight that he's coming after me. I'm doomed. Jackson stayed silent on the drive, first dropping my friend off at her house. My unlucky best friend still didn't forget to explain everything clearly to her uncle before getting out. "Uncle, please understand. Sophia's just in a bad mood. Her husband bullied her and they fought. I told her she should divorce him and move on." I immediately covered this dummy's mouth. Didn't she notice Jackson's face getting darker and darker? "Daisy, you've got guts. Try this stunt again, and I'll tell your parents." My best friend was immediately stunned, looking at me, then at her uncle. "Get going." I was really afraid Jackson would get out and rat us out if she stayed longer. Once my friend was home, I tactfully moved to the passenger seat. Jackson's handsome face was long and drawn with a frustrated expression. The car was silent as could be, which made me even more anxious. I kept trying to make noise to get his attention, but he was so cool he wouldn't even glance at me. Just when I was about to surrender, he suddenly asked, "Is there something I've done wrong?" His tone was completely different from the angry one he'd used with Daisy. Was he split personality? I wasn't sure what to make of Jackson, so I thought quickly and acted drunk. I rubbed my cheeks hard, staring at him stupidly with a grin. Jackson furrowed his brow, looking both concerned and pained. "Feeling bad from the drink? Better than getting scolded." "Jackson, my head hurts." He took my hand, gently kissed the back of it, and said in a soft voice, "Be good, drink some soup when we get home, and it'll be better." Jackson carried me inside and said, "Sit on the sofa and wait for me, okay?" I nuzzled against his chest like a kitten, whispering an okay. As he turned to go to the kitchen to make some hangover soup, my mind was racing. Daisy said her uncle could be terrifying when he was angry. But this Jackson was so gentle with me, I couldn't see any signs of a temper. Was this the calm before the storm? My heart leapt into my throat. Tonight, no matter what, I had to keep up the drunken act. Jackson soon came with the hangover soup, cooling each spoonful before giving it to me. I pretended to whine that it tasted bad, and he was patient. "How about I make you some honey water? Will it be sweet?" Jackson smirked, suddenly leaning in to peck my lips. "Very sweet." My head was spinning, he took advantage of me. I wanted to object, but thinking of what I had done tonight, I just held my tongue. After the honey water, he helped me change into clean pajamas. I was bewildered. Where's Jackson's CEO persona? He cuddled me to sleep, and my little heart was beating like a drum. My eyelids grew heavy, and my thoughts dimmed. When I woke up, I was alone in the bedroom. I checked my phone, and it was almost 10:30. He must have gone to work, and he left breakfast on the table for me. There was a sticky note, his strong handwriting saying, "Be good, warm up the breakfast in the microwave before eating." If it weren't for being married to Jackson, I wouldn't believe he did all this. We had a whirlwind marriage. Before that, all I knew was that he was my boss. If I'd known a month ago he was my best friend's uncle, I wouldn't have agreed to marry him. Even if it was at my wit's end. After graduating college, my classmates and I went our separate ways. I thought I'd shine in my favorite field, but life threw me a curveball. My mom got sick. I could barely cover her hospital fees with my tiny intern salary. My best friend told me to come to Yuncheng. It was a big city with lots of job prospects and high pay. I was tempted and sent out applications, getting interviews with several companies. I took leave from my old job and went to interviews. Because my mom was sick, the salary mattered a lot to me. A few companies were impressed but couldn't meet my high pay demands. I understood, after all, I was just a newbie, even if I won some design awards in college. Compensation isn't solely up to HR. When I was about to give up, one company agreed to pay my high salary. The only difference was, the job wasn't related to my design degree at all. I'd be an assistant to a CEO. At that point, it didn't matter. I just needed to pay my mom's medical bills. On my first day, my boss asked me to join them meeting with clients. That's where I met Jackson. I was a total novice to the office politics of such events. I was on a call, and when I got back, there was a full glass in front of me. The boss wanted me to toast the clients. I felt something was off but didn't know how to say no. So I went along and had a drink. The taste of the liquor burned all the way down to my stomach. I couldn't even speak, just ran to the bathroom holding my mouth. My head was spinning, and I was short of breath. I realized there was something wrong with that drink. My legs turned to jelly as I slumped onto the toilet, unable to stand. And my phone and bag were still back in the room, leaving me no way to call my best friend for help. I forced myself to stay calm and used the zipper on my clothes to scratch my hand. The pain helped me regain some awareness, but the dizziness and weakness were getting worse. The longer I delayed, the more likely it was I'd be in big trouble. I gritted my teeth and dragged myself out of the bathroom, blindly grabbing at a shadowy figure in front of me. "Help me, please." The guy was squatting, eyebrows raised, his thin lips parting as he spoke. "Why should I help you?" My nose twitched as tears welled up. I clung to his wrist like it was a lifeline. I was drugged. Please get me out of here. Call the cops or something, I'm begging you." Thinking about my mom in the hospital, and how I'd be walking into a trap tonight, despair spread through me. Tears spilled uncontrollably. I held onto his wrist tightly, choking out, "You're all I have." In a daze, I heard him sigh before he scooped me up. "Why do you have so many tears?" What happened next is fuzzy. I vaguely remember when he was taking me away, the boss saw us and insisted I stay. Of course, the guy wouldn't have it, and the boss pulled the "You're my employee" card. In a moment of inspiration, I looped an arm around the guy's neck and pecked him on the cheek. "Honey, let's call the police." Just the mention of the police made the boss back down real quick. After that, I remember nothing. Jackson later told me I completely passed out. Yeah, the guy I met that night was Jackson. He saved me. He took me to the hospital and stayed with me till morning. Unfortunately, I didn't see him when I woke up, just his assistant there. Jackson went to work. Here's his card. He said you can call him anytime if you need anything. I gotta reach out to him. Who knows what would have happened if it weren't for him. Once I was out of the hospital, I formally invited him to dinner. Jackson said he was busy. "All right, Jackson, let me know when you have time and I'll reschedule." The phone went quiet for a bit before he asked, "Aren't you looking for a job?" Huh. At first, I was surprised he knew my situation, but then again, anyone could guess. I messed up the boss's plans and wanted to call the cops. Of course, I'd get canned. "If you don't mind, I have an assistant position open, if you trust me." I swore I'd never work as an assistant again, but hearing Jackson needed one changed my mind. "Can I really do it?" "Bring your resume and come for an interview." "Thank you, Jackson." So, I became Jackson's executive assistant. It was only after I started at the company that I found out Jackson was supposedly married. So, when he invited me to a dinner event, I flat out refused. I might not be good at much, but I, Sophia, have scruples. No affairs, no flirting, and no doing anything for money. Jackson's dark eyes looked at me, unreadable, impossible to figure out. Didn't you say you'd invite me for a thank you dinner? I thought long and hard and decided to be honest. Jackson, I really am grateful for what you did and will surely treat you, but it's not right for me to accompany you as your +1 tonight. Jackson raised an eyebrow. Why not? Because you're married. Naturally, you take your wife to a dinner event. What would it mean to take me? Jackson chuckled and even looked a bit exasperated. Who said I'm married? Everybody at the company says you're secretly married. Jackson's gaze grew deeper, more meaningful. I'm not married, currently single. I ended up going with him that evening, but strangely, everyone seemed to think I was his wife. Totally awkward. I wanted to explain but didn't get the chance. On our way back, I was full of questions and worries. Jackson, everyone misunderstood us. Eyes closed, Jackson just said MMM. MMM? That's it? Nothing more? Shouldn't you tell them you're not married? Jackson suddenly opened his eyes, locking his gaze on me. Sophia, let's get married. What? I thought I misheard, but his serious expression showed he wasn't kidding. Jackson, you've had too much to drink, haven't you? Then Jackson rolled out this compelling, mutually beneficial logic for us getting hitched. First, my mom's hospital bills would be covered. Second, he needed a wife to accompany him to events just as much as I did. Third, a marriage of convenience, just paperwork, no strings, divorce in a few years. It'd solve my problem and get us a meaningless marriage at the same time. After thinking about it, I said, I need to think this over. Jackson nodded. You should. I later learned the rumors about his supposed marriage started because of me. That boss's partner knew Jackson, and when they heard me call him hubby, they naturally assumed we were married. I agreed in the morning, and by afternoon, we were married. But I didn't foresee Jackson being Daisy's uncle. By the time I found out, the paperwork was done. And now, things have somehow slipped into the situation we're in today. My friend calls and asks, Sophia, made up with your husband yet? I thought about it seriously. I guess we have. Yeah, I'd say so. Figured. Too bad about my uncle. You met him last night, right? Isn't he handsome? With a guilty conscience, I flatter her, he sure is. Hey, just checking, you got home all right last night? Yeah, luckily Uncle didn't tell my parents. But I heard my dad say Uncle shut down his bars this morning. Said they're renovating, but he's really firing a bunch of people. What? Huh, don't worry, Uncle can be tough, but it's never personal. This whole bar thing is all because of me. My friend sounded totally confident. I remember last night at the bar. Jackson's expressionless face was pretty scary. Daisy, are you sure your uncle is that mean to everyone? Not really. As long as you don't piss him off, he won't bite. Aren't you afraid that he'll find out and tattle on you for talking about him like this? My friend laughed so hard, she almost burst into tears. Hee hee, I know you won't, Sophia. Besides, you're not even close with my uncle. Hearing that, I felt super guilty. Should I tell her the truth? That my husband is actually her uncle. But I definitely need to discuss it with Jackson first. Every day, she goes on and on about how cold and bossy Jackson is. But at home, Jackson's not cold or mean at all. Instead, he talks a lot, nags, and likes to meddle in my affairs. I wonder if Jackson has a split personality. This afternoon at the office, he switched back to his serious mode. Jackson, here's the file you wanted. I handed him the file, and he didn't even look up, just leave it there. Looking at this totally different version of Jackson, I was taken aback. Whatever, it's not like we're in a real marriage. People at the company know he's married, but but they don't know it's to me. Keeping a low profile seems like a good choice. After delivering files for the marketing manager, he was waiting outside Jackson's door. Seeing me, he grinned. Sophia, are you free tonight? I'd like to take you out for dinner. It's just one file delivery, no need for dinner. I waved my hand. No, I've got plans tonight. I was just dropping the file off for you, no need to be so formal. The manager froze, his ears turning red, looking flustered. Oh, you have plans, Sophia? Do you have a boyfriend? I shook my head. No boyfriend, but I do have a husband. Why, what's up? Nothing, just curious. He smiled broadly, confusing me even more. Sophia, come in. Jackson's steady voice cut through the office door. When I walked in, he didn't look too happy. Jackson's gaze was sharp, briefly glancing out the door at the manager. His eyes showed a mix of emotions. After closing the door, I put on a big smile. Jackson, what can I do for you? Jackson looked displeased. What was so funny? Which eye of his saw me laughing? The loud laugh was definitely from the manager outside. We were just chatting a bit. Jackson flipped through the files at hand, continuing, You're my assistant, not his, got it? Oh, so he's upset I delivered files for the manager. Geez, dividing things so clearly. As a competent employee, I've learned the ropes. Whatever the boss says is law. Even if it's wrong, just nod and agree. Never disagree in front of him. Yes, Jackson, I'll keep that in mind. Anything else, Jackson? Jackson's eyes softened a bit. Is your headache better? The sudden change threw me off. Much better. Thanks for the hangover soup and breakfast. All right, you can go now. His lifted mood was obvious from his smile. Closing his office door, I placed a hand on my chest. No wonder my friend calls her Uncle Moody. She's right. For days, I didn't see the manager at the office. Sophia. In the huge lobby, someone shouted my name just as I hurried towards the elevator. A dark-skinned guy with sparkling eyes came running up to me enthusiastically. Manager? What happened to you? The manager, who was of normal complexion before, looked tanned now. He scratched his head sheepishly. Jackson sent me out for some publicity work, got sunburnt. Sophia, are you free this week? Inviting me this often, I'm getting a vibe he might like me. About to refuse again, I heard a stern voice. Almost work time, chatting still? The manager's expression changed, quickly greeting the boss respectfully and scuttling away. Jackson stood frowning, silent. This guy was fine in the morning. Is it because I didn't wait for him after getting out of the car? Can't be that petty, right? Come over here. I followed him to the CEO-only elevator, accepting my fate. Jackson, why are you so grumpy lately? I tried to lighten the mood with a silly smile. Jackson abruptly turned, trapping me in the elevator's narrow corner. You really don't know what I'm upset about? I'm not a mind reader, how would I know why you're upset? After my friend's descriptions, I've almost got a mental block about Jackson now. Suddenly, he leaned closer, and his woody scent filled the space between us. Whoa. Jackson kissed me. My mind went blank, not knowing what to do. I leaned weakly against him, his strong hand supporting my back. Don't smile at other men in the company anymore, got it? Huh. Dazed by the kiss, I blankly watched him lean in again. Got it, I got it. I won't smile at other men anymore. Jackson, satisfied, let go, even wiping off my smeared lipstick. His thumb gently brushed across my lips, and I felt like I was on fire. With the ding of the elevator, I quickly pushed Jackson aside and fled. I spent the whole morning hiding in my office, not daring to step outside. All I can think about is, why did Jackson suddenly kiss me? Shocked. My husband suddenly kissed me. Is he losing it? Left with no clue, I turned to my best friend for help. Sophia, are you bragging about your love life? Not really. You'd be happy if your husband didn't kiss you but kissed another woman? Honestly, given the unique nature of my marriage to Jackson, my friend's analysis is irrelevant. Oh dear, my bad. Pretend I didn't ask, okay? Daisy replied with just 6 dots, completely speechless. Soon she sent a cheeky meme, shamelessly asking, how's your husband's skills? Oh right, since marrying Jackson, we've only shared a bed once, that time I went drinking at a bar with Daisy and got busted by him. Sophia, should I ask my second uncle to help out? Maybe that will shake your husband up? If I actually did that, we'd really be testing the limits here. Stop that. I swear, you just need a good lesson from your uncle. TSK, Sophia, it's your loss if you miss out on my uncle. I blinked. Doesn't feel like I lost anything. If anything, it's a win. Sophia, Jackson's calling for you. The secretary knocked on the door to remind me. Can I say no? Looking at my red face in the mirror all morning, I added some foundation to try and cover it up. I tried my best to act natural and opened the door with a standard smile. Jackson, you called me. Jackson nodded and gestured for me to sit down. That's when I noticed the table set with 2 sets of utensils and several lunchboxes. Let's eat together. Huh. But this is the office. Didn't we agree to avoid any sign of intimacy at work? He saw me hesitate and asked, puzzled, is it not to your taste? Sweet and sour ribs, stir-fried liver, and sautéed shrimp, definitely the handiwork of our housekeeper, made to our mutual tastes. How could it not be? It's great. Aren't you worried about people at work finding out about us? Jackson smiled at me, practically blinding me. Don't call me Jackson. No one's here, call me what you call me at home. I was stumped. At home, I rarely called him by name. Using just his name felt too distant and disrespectful. Calling him honey felt unnatural, we're not that close. After having lunch with him, I realized I had been sidetracked. He didn't even answer my question, leaving me caught up in deciding what to call him. Jackson really is sneaky. Before leaving work, he texted me, let's leave together. Why? This is making me anxious. I immediately started wondering what I could have done to upset him. After thinking it over, everything seemed fine between us. I barely interacted with any male colleagues, aside from the manager. In the car, Jackson handed me a large box. Change into these, wearing heels all day must be uncomfortable. Inside was a pair of plush slippers. It was the first time I had worn the new heels today, and they had already rubbed my ankles raw. And yet, I hadn't even mentioned it to him. He noticed such a small thing. A warm feeling washed over me. Thanks. The slippers were white, soft, and comfortable, instantly soothing my discomfort. At our front door, Jackson turned off the car and said, hold still. Huh. After getting out, he came around, opened my door, and effortlessly picked me up. My face heated up, and I started to squirm. It's fine, I can walk. But he didn't listen, taking long strides and carrying me indoors. He even called the housekeeper to bring the first aid kit, bandaging me himself. Jackson, I can do it myself. Jackson suddenly looked up, his dark eyes seemingly peering right into my soul. What did you call me? As he moved closer, I burst out, honey. Right after saying it, I regretted it. What was I blurting out? Unexpectedly, Jackson looked pleased, narrowing his eyes before planting another gentle kiss. The next day was my day off, so I slept in. When I checked my phone, Daisy had called me numerous times. Sophia, you bailed on me. I completely forgot we had plans for a manicure. Hurriedly, I rushed to our meeting spot. Daisy was about ready to explode. Did you sleep your brains out or what? What's up? Daisy pointed to my neck, her finger trembling in frustration. You ditched me for some action with your husband. My face turned beet red, and I quickly covered her mouth. Sister, keep it down, will you? I surrendered to her wild speculation. Okay. I'll treat you to dinner. She held up 2 fingers. at least 2. Okay, no problem. Chatting and getting our nails done, my friends suddenly sighed. Sigh. I have a feeling my uncle is seeing someone new. What? Jackson is seeing someone else? Startled, I jumped up. My friend was taken aback. Why are you so shocked? That's right. In her eyes, I'm supposed to be just a stranger to Jackson. Taking a deep breath, I softly asked, why do you think that? Daisy earnestly shared her insights. From my experience, my uncle is definitely in love. When he comes over for dinner, he's always checking his phone with this love-struck grin. What else could it be? I thought back, every Friday, he had dinner with his grandparents. From time to time, he'd text me to make sure I've eaten or just chat. The woman my friend mentioned is likely me. Feeling relieved, I ventured, he is getting older, it's normal for him to date. Even if there is a woman, no big deal. Holding her chin, my friend mused, I just wonder what kind of woman she could be. I'm really curious who my uncle likes. Seems like he's really into her, with those deep looks of his. You can't fake that. Did Jackson fall for me? No way. I hesitantly asked, didn't you say your uncle's a career-driven guy who doesn't fall for people easily? Yeah, true, so the person he falls for isn't just anybody. I was speechless, looked down at myself, and got lost in thought. Sure, he might like me, but my uncle is definitely not some lovesick fool. He's a certified business ace. Not lovesick, huh? I'm not so sure. I decided I need to test Jackson a bit. After hanging out with my bestie till 8 or 9, I got home to find Jackson waiting in the living room. As usual, he questioned me, but I assured him multiple times I didn't go anywhere I shouldn't with Daisy, and he finally let it go. I rubbed my stomach and sighed, been running around all day, I'm starving. Jackson immediately put his laptop aside and asked seriously, what do you want to eat? I'll have Auntie make it. I pouted and whined, I don't feel like eating any home food today. I want some tofu fish soup. That place is across town, an old joint that's been there for decades and never delivers. To eat it, you gotta either dine in or line up to take it home. Jackson didn't even bat an eye, okay. I glanced outside. At this hour, there's probably no way to snag a meal. With some grit, I continued, I also want authentic Japanese food. It's not close by either. Anything else you want? I shook my head. That was already asking for too much. Jackson went to the entryway to change his shoes. Wait at home, I'll be back soon. There's still some desserts you like in the fridge. You can snack on those if you're hungry. What? You're really going? Honestly, I don't even want it that much. It's so late, who knows how long it'll take. Jackson cut me off, you want it, right? I froze, nodded. What's important is you want to eat it. Watching him leave with such style and charm, you'd have to be cold-hearted not to be moved. This guy's not just a business genius, he's a doting husband, through and through. Daisy, sorry, you got fooled by your uncle's cool exterior. Jackson brought back the goods. I sipped soup, nibbled on Japanese food. Honestly, I felt so guilty inside. Jackson smiled, eyes twinkling, as he quietly watched me eat. Taste good? He asked. I nodded repeatedly, delicious, especially what you brought back. His deep eyes flickered with some unknown desire and suddenly leaned in. Let me try, he said. I had fish, he tasted me, perfectly fitting. I hid my face in his broad chest, listening to his strong, steady heartbeat. It warmed me right up. Marriage actually feels pretty nice. I think I'm starting to like Jackson a lot. I even want to know more about him, get into his head. After all these days together, he's been helping with all my family stuff. But I really don't know much about him. Everything I know came from my bestie. I need to learn more. When I visited Mom in the hospital, the doctor said her condition was stable. As long as we care for her later, there shouldn't be a relapse. She'd be discharged in a couple of days. My folks knew about the marriage, no hiding it, didn't plan to anyway. They knew the situation at home. Suddenly I could pay hospital bills, get mom a nice room and top-notch care, all thanks to Jackson. Now, they seem to think their son-in-law's way more precious than their daughter. When I walked into the hospital room, both stretched their necks to look behind me, asking in unison, "Where's Jackson?" "Dad, Mom, he's really busy. He can't come this time." But he wanted me to pass on that Mom should listen to the doctor and nurses, and Dad to get enough rest and take care of himself. "Oh, all this stuff is from him too." Their faces looked a tad disappointed. "Not happy to see your daughter, huh?" Mom weakly responded, "Happy." Dad turned away from me to keep peeling the apple, careful to slice it into small pieces with toothpicks for Mom. Faced with such a lukewarm response, I couldn't help but chuckle. "Seriously? You sure don't look happy to me." "Oh darling, of course, I'm happy to see my girl. Have some apple." I nibbled a bit, then cheekily winked at them. "Dad's apples are so sweet." "You little smarty. Make sure you bring Jackson home when your mom's out. She keeps going on about how she wants to have him over for dinner." "Of course, gotta let him taste your cooking. You guys make the best food." No sooner did I say that than a familiar voice chimed in from the doorway. "Really? Then I must try it." I turned, pleasantly surprised to see Jackson. He smiled, arms full of gifts, quickly making his way in. "Dad, Mom, sorry I'm a little late, got caught up with work." Mom rushed to get him seated, while Dad brewed him a big cup of goji berry tea just for him. "Jackson, if work's busy, no need to make a special trip to see me. You're really a good boy." As she spoke, Mom's eyes got misty. Back when she first got sick, we had some savings, but her kidney treatment quickly bled us dry. When we had no money, we almost got kicked out of the hospital. Only those who've been there know how tough it was. "Mom, don't say that. Taking care of you guys is our duty." Jackson noticed I was starting to tear up. He came over to hold my hand, comforting me silently. Dad chuckled, breaking the tension. "All right now, this is a happy occasion. The kids are visiting, and you're getting better. No need to get all emotional." "Yes, yes. Look at me, getting older and naggier. Sophia, make sure you treat Jackson well since he's been so good to you." I giggled. "Mom, what are you saying?" "Of course, I'll be good to him. Who else should I treat well if not my husband?" Jackson nodded, his deep eyes locking with mine. "Exactly." My mom saw this and couldn't help but praise Jackson to the skies. "Sophia, you've been married for a while. You should have a kid while you're still young." I was happily eating the orange he peeled for me, but when I heard that, I nearly choked and had to gulp down water to swallow. I was afraid to look at Jackson. "Mom, what are you talking about? We're both still young. We should focus on our careers first. Why rush into having kids? Hey, when I was your age, I was already married to your dad, and you were almost 3 years old." If she kept talking, I feared our real relationship would be exposed. I grabbed his hand, found an excuse, and escaped. In the car, I told him seriously, "You don't have to worry about what my mom said. She's just a worrier." Jackson didn't acknowledge this and instead asked, "You don't like kids?" "Huh?" I nodded, "Not really. I think being alone is just fine." "Alone?" He frowned unconsciously, his smile fading. I was taken aback. No strings attached, eating well and easy life for one, what's wrong with that? A vein popped on Jackson's forehead, and his eyes turned sharp. "Are you still considering yourself alone?" "Of course not, there's my parents. And you, of course. But who knows how long our marriage will last." I lacked confidence in the future. I was aware of the reality, there's a big gap between us in terms of money, status, and family background. Anything could change at any moment. So before marrying him, I decided not to fully invest and get trapped in this marriage. Jackson suddenly grabbed my wrist, his gaze intense. "Sophia, am I in your heart at all?" I admit, I hesitated and backed off at that moment. I don't know, Jackson. I need some space. Jackson's face visibly darkened. This time we parted ways without arguing. I went to find my best friend, and she was just bored at home. Seeing my gloomy face, she scoffed, "Fighting with your hubby again?" I stared ahead blankly and nodded, "Kind of. Daisy, I might be getting a divorce." She slapped her thigh, grinning widely like a flower. "Divorce sounds good. I've always thought that hubby of yours, whom I've never met, was unreliable. But you're a bit late for divorce now. My uncle's got someone else he likes." She's really hitting the nail on the head. I don't want your uncle, that old guy. A younger guy? Could consider it. The next minute, she dragged me out, saying we should find some young hottie and have fun. Aren't you afraid of your uncle? My best friend thoughtfully analyzed. My uncle is busy dating or working, he has no time to bother with me. Should I remind her that her uncle's girlfriend is currently considering how to escape? The car stopped at a nondescript bar. My friend beamed, "I've checked this bar out. It doesn't belong to my uncle or anyone in our family. So we can drink freely today." Once inside, she offered to set me up with a hottie she'd been eyeing for days. A hottie? I'm not interested in any guy right now. I'm not sure if she didn't hear my last sentence, but she called over a hottie as soon as we walked in. The hottie sat next to me. I felt so uneasy that I squeezed next to my friend. Bringing a stranger is uncomfortable. Just the two of us, drinking and chatting, is way better. My friend sipped her drink and half closed her eyes in enjoyment. "You're nearly divorced, you should relax." Is she trying to teach me what infidelity means? The hottie, under her cue, was smooth with his flattery. But my heart was uneasy, with a growing sense of foreboding. "Let's just leave. This round's on me." My friend, heady with alcohol, stiffened her neck, looking down on me. "No, but if your uncle catches us, we're finished." My friend assuredly patted my shoulder. "My uncle is busy dating or working, no way he'd catch me." "Sophia, is that my uncle at the door? I think I'm seeing things." "What?" I was so shocked that half my drunkenness vanished, and I strained my neck to look outside. The man stepping in wasn't anyone but Jackson. I pushed my friend's head down. "Stay down, your uncle." "I'm hiding." I swiftly slipped under the table while Daisy nearly cried. What should I do? I looked at the tight space under the table, feeling sincerely apologetic. No room. She opted to play dead, her head on the table, while the hottie across was stunned. The man's shiny black shoes stopped right in front of me, and a firm voice sounded above. "Daisy, I'll count to 2. 1. My friend jerked upright like she was spring-loaded. "Uncle, hee, you're here." I admit I was wrong. Could you just lock me at home? But please don't. Jackson cut her off, impatient. "Where's Sophia?" I clearly saw my friend point to me under the table without a second's hesitation. "Get out." I sheepishly crawled out and had barely stood straight when Jackson grabbed my hand. My friend's eyes widened in disbelief, pointing at us, speechless. "Daisy, let me explain." "Wait, Uncle, what's between you and Sophia?" Jackson gave me a meaningful glance, his tone calm but firm. "She's your aunt." I couldn't clarify to her before Jackson took me home and dealt with me hard. "Jackson, I'm sorry. I won't fool around again, is that okay?" His heavy breathing was over my head, and my hands were bound. "Call me hubby." I pitifully muttered, "Hubby, I'm really sorry." Yet as he showed no signs of calming down, I couldn't help but reach out to kiss him, softly explaining, the hottie was Daisy's call. I swear, I only said one word to him. Jackson paused, with desire still lingering in his eyes. "What's up?" "No need, thanks." The next day, it turned out that explaining was pointless. It was clearly my girlfriend's choice to date the hottie, but somehow I got blamed for it. My phone was blowing up from her calls. I finally called her back when Jackson took a shower break. Come on, girl, stop calling me. I'll explain everything to you later, okay? Even through the phone, I could tell my girlfriend was gritting her teeth. Sophia, you've grown. You're already marrying my uncle without needing to explain to me, huh? Yikes, she's really mad. Jackson and I got back together. But my girlfriend was mad the entire night until her frightening uncle left for work, then she dared to confront me. You both think you're so great, huh? You betrayed me and thought I'd be clueless about it? I served her tea, massaged her shoulders, anything to calm her down. No, it wasn't intentional at all. She shot me a fierce look. Here I was, foolish enough to want to introduce my uncle to you, not knowing you two were already secretly involved. Her use of idioms is spot on. She shrugged off my hand angrily. Stop joking. I won't forgive you. I nodded frantically. All right, whatever you say. She glared. You're okay with me ending our friendship? I shrugged my shoulders, explaining helplessly. If you want to leave, I can't stop you. Just as she was about to storm out, I pulled her back. Kidding. How about we start over? I'm Sophia, and now you should call me Aunt. My girlfriend was amused, laughing and crying. Just wait, I'm going to spill the news about your marriage. Though I was quick, I couldn't stop her from sending a voice message. By the time Jackson got home from work, the house was almost too crowded. There were grandparents, Jackson's parents, and of course, my girlfriend's family. Seeing the room full of people, Jackson stayed totally calm. This is my wife, Sophia. Everyone already knew. They didn't give me a hard time. In fact, Jackson's parents and grandparents were very fond of me. Hearing Jackson got secretly married, they gave him a mild scolding in front of me, saying he was inconsiderate to me. But really, he was good to me. They thought Jackson had wronged me. So once he was home, they called my folks to set the wedding date. Feeling flustered, Jackson held my hand, whispering an explanation. Just take your time getting used to it. They're just super excited. It's not excitement, it's enthusiasm. The kind you can hardly handle. 3 months later, Jackson and I had our wedding in a church. Since we wanted to keep it low-key, we only invited close family and friends. My girlfriend was the bridesmaid. She seemed more emotional than I was, crying her makeup off. While handing the ring to Jackson, she foolishly asked, Uncle, now that you're marrying my friend Sophia, do I not have to call you uncle anymore, but bro instead? Everyone burst out laughing, and Jackson gave her a calm look. You should ask your dad about that. Without hesitation, she went ahead, wishing my uncle and aunt a lifetime of happiness, and lots of kids. Thanks a lot. A year after marrying Jackson, while tidying up, I found a dusty box in his closet. Inside was a stack of thank you letters, all in my handwriting. When I was in middle school, my dad's restaurant went under, leaving us over $1 million in debt. My parents worked night and day but couldn't cover it. I had to rely on strangers' help just to continue my studies. My homeroom teacher found me a sponsor. Knowing this was my only chance to succeed, I studied hard. Every year, my sponsor paid my tuition, including books and all fees. In return, I could only write thank you letters and attach my excellent grade reports. From Jackson's mom to Jackson, they supported me from middle school through college. The benefactor was them all along. I hugged him, tears streaming, while he was making chicken soup in the kitchen. Honey, you've always known about me, haven't you? He paused for a moment, then turned to me. Yeah, silly girl. He shared so much more, how my letters got him through his rebellious high school years and inspired him to become a heartfelt business owner aiming to create a domestic brand. Sophia, your resilience and courage always drew me to you. You're a gift from heaven. I love you. I love you more.